2015 for the first time, grade 12 high-level examinations. We completed everything, the question papers ready, the syllabus ready, everything, but still there is a handbrake on it. We don't know who is the puller. We personally even took out of the education minister because we feel this is a politically motivated action. It is tribalism. If you allow other tribes to have high level and others to deny, it's tribalism for me. And also for economic gain, for development, you are denying, because what is currently happening, if a learner has got high level or a subject on high level, he has the opportunity to score maximum of 10 points. But if you are not having a subject on high level, the maximum points you will be scoring is 7. So that, if it is your mother tongue, and I can tell you, Khoekhoe learners, very rarely you will find E's and F's. It's D and R, and you will have IP. Imagine if it was high level, that learner could have scored 9 or 10 credit points, meaning that it creates a possibility for the learner to even qualify for university level. Say for example, 2 learners, one is having now, let's say for example, 22 credit points. But should he or she has had Khoekhoe on high level, because the learner is written in 80, got 7 points, and the learner is kind of like a frog that is put in a container of lead, can jump higher. But if that learner could have high level and do the same and got 1 is the level, highest level is 1, which is 10 credit points, that child could have obtained 25 credit points to qualify for university. So it is denying our learners to access to university. Those are the changes.
Okay, what I'm picking up is that there is so much of a positive growth for the Khoekhoe in the sense that it's like it's taking 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back at the same time. So I would actually task Mr. Huyeman to answer this question as you're also going through the status of the Khoekhoe, the status of the growth of the Khoekhoe. I'll pose this question to you. Why is it that the interest in the Khoekhoe is stagnating? Is there a possible reason as to why there's a stagnation of the interest in the Khoekhoe, or is it that it's being viewed as the Nama community in itself is being viewed as a minority community in the Namibian aspect, that
just one thing, the Nama people might be a small group in terms of representation in Namibia, but the 2011 census, we must understand, Khoekhoe is the homeland of the Nama, the Damara, the Khoekhoe in Namibia. So according to the 2011 census statistics, Khoekhoe is the 2nd largest mother tongue in Namibia. Another thing also, the misperception is that Khoekhoe is going to die. No, that is totally wrong. Yeah, just proceed. It's something that came up in my mind.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would differ with the notion that the language is stagnating. But before coming to that, the question has been, where were we? Where are we? I would first of all like to elaborate on that. I will take some factual information to the audience for them to decide whether there is progress or whether we are stagnating. According to information and research that I have, this language was first documented in 1830 by a missionary called Johann Heinrich Schiller. He was also the first person to write a hymnal that was titled Sanadi Namanira Naidi Jaismilip Huadi. In that way, whatsoever he wrote it. Then the current cliques that we are using were adopted in 1856 at Khoekhoe. I will just take some highlights from the missionaries, and then I will go to the pre-independence and the post-independence for you to judge where we are. In 1889, the first dictionary, Woordschaats der Khoekhoe, was published by Kroonwyn. And if my information is correct, in 1969, this dictionary was revised by Friedrich Roots under the title Nama Woorderboek. They say the first Bible was written in 1938 or translated in 1938. And the first official standard orthography for Khoekhoe was published in 1970. Nama Damara orthography number 1. And then the second one followed, and then the third one followed. Now, I just want to take you through the process, as I said already, so that you can judge. Now, I would go to where we were before independence. There were some written textbooks for schools. As some of us will know, there were grammar books that were titled Kakas Ndakira Namawawa and Khoekhoe Ndakira Namawawa, meaning there was growth even after the missionaries. These books were written by Hage and then Harobe, Johannes Boys, the late boys. And as I can recall, during that time, Khoekhoe was only taught up to standard 5. I was in the unfortunate position that I could take it just up to standard 2. So at this stage, I would also like to bring in the question that was posed in the previous panel, that mother tongue teaching is having an influence on the later years of the child, that it is a wrong notion. Because I was taught in Khoekhoe, and I can speak a bit of English and Afrikaans. So my school years were in Afrikaans, and I passed. Now, there was a committee that they call the Nama Damara Tal Committee, which was responsible for the development of school books. And I can recall that in 1984, and I think the Honorable Hinda Boendehut agree with me that teacher training started at Academie vir Tersiêre Onderwys in 1984. Damara is a language. Now that is in short pre-independence. Now we go to post-independence. In the 90s, Khoekhoe was introduced in grade 8 as a language, only after independence. And the first cohort of grade 10 wrote the junior secondary certificate examination at Cornelius Scorosep Secondary School in 1995. at the same school, IGCSE was written in 1998. So now I think we can trace the development. And new textbooks were written. Some of us were summoned to NIET for a week, and then we have to design books, we have to write poems, we have to write dramas and whatsoever. Because there was a need as we changed to the junior secondary level. And two names that will feature here is the late Emmanuel Haile Frans Karweb and Mr. Matthias Korase. Those were the two gentlemen that were tasked to write those grammar books. Now, one thing that I would also like to highlight here is that in 1996, there were 20 books introduced. And from these, 16 were written originally in Khoekhoe, once only 4 were translated. As we are talking here, the Khoekhoe Bible new edition is completed. The Bible Society also published the Khoekhoe Bible in the standard orthography, which is also available in soft copy. Let me give you some enrollment figures at the southern campus of the University of Namibia for the last 2 years. As Mr. Dirksen said, sometimes the numbers, and it should be clear that the progress is there. It's just the numbers that are not that big. We are moving. If we can look at the different intakes, we have full-time and we have in-service teachers. And I think here we can clearly see the growth that in the 4th year, which was 4 years back, we have 6 degree students. Now we have 8. 3 years back, we have 1 diploma student. Now in the 2nd year, we have 21. And in the 1st year, we have 15. In the in-service training, we can see that the 2nd years are 28, the 3rd years are 24, and the 4th year is 42, meaning that the numbers are also increasing. Currently, we are offering a 6 months language proficiency short course. Last year, 28 candidates finished the course, 22 at advanced level and 9 at intermediate. And for this year, we have 5 beginners. Those are people that are non-Khoekhoe speakers that we have to teach. Kaingwas means Huyemor. And we have 31 who are enrolled for the advanced course. As we are sitting here, Khoekhoe is offered at Namibian College of Open Learning at grade 10 and grade 12 and diploma level. The Institute of Open Learning in Namibia offers Khoekhoe. In 2018, the International College of Management, IGM, introduced Khoekhoe as a language for the teacher education programs. So, I defer totally when someone is saying that we are stagnating, and I do concur with my brother if we predict that this language is going to die out. Be it as it may, it's actually just the numbers that we are looking for, because we believe at Minasaks, if we have 5 grade 1 classes, at least 4 should be Khoekhoe and 1 should be Afrikaans. The opposite in this case is true. And this is due to the fact that, and I agree again with my brother, whenever we are talking about the system, the education system, people in higher positions always differ with us on the ground. When you will tell them this is what is happening, they will tell you, no, that must not happen, this is what should happen. And if the language policy is telling me you can enroll your child, at any school in any language, then I'm free to do that. If my parents are misinformed that if your child is doing his or her first 3 school years in Khoekhoe, this child is a dumb child, this child is a stupid child, this child will not progress in school. Think about illiterate parents that we are feeding with these myths. What will happen? These parents who are still believing that Afrikaans and English are language for intellectuals, in that if my child is going to be taught in Afrikaans or in English, my child will progress in school. And we know that the opposite is true.
Okay, I will give the floor to David now to give us the status and growth of the Khoekhoe in South Africa, specifically.
Yeah, I think it's important because I do tend to differ with my previous panelists. I think a language dies when it's not spoken, when it's not written, when it's not passed down from one generation to another generation. And I think the challenge that we have in South Africa is, again, why we are stuck in this position where after 25 years of democracy, we still don't have Khoekhoe recognized in official languages. There was never a recognition that there were people that lost their languages. You know, and today in 2019, there's a lot of research that's being done about losing your language. You know, they talk about when you lose your language, you lose your identity, you lose your culture, you lose your values, you lose your cultural, intellectual property. And I think it's important for us, and I sometimes do feel like a lot of Nama people are in denial. You know, they don't want to recognize that this language is dying, that this well of water is slowly there's not gonna be anyone in. You know, and I think it's important for us to recognize this, because only when we speak to the issue, when we speak critically to the issue, because at the moment, and I've heard many Nama people who say that I can speak Nama, but I can't read and write. You know, so when you can't read and write the language, it means your confidence in that language is almost non-existent. And it's important for us to then ask ourselves, that was for me, when I heard that, I also recognized that was part of how this government wanted to kill the language. Because when people don't read and write the language, they don't write stuff. They can't write poetry, they can't write short stories. You know, and when we talk about the status of Khoekhoe in South Africa, and I think, and I wanted to just two things that I found that it was made that have not been touched on, that a lot of Nama people have sort of attacked me for saying that you can't call this language Nama Buba, because it's not just a Nama language. The Nama people spoke a Khoekhoe language that they belonged to a Khoekhoe group in South Africa, that they brought here when they came to South Africa, to Namibia, as refugees, you know, as people that were looking at protecting themselves and the language. So it was never called Nama. But then we also get to the point where we have to also problematize the fact that why do we give our languages names? Because our ancestors they were never asked what language do you speak. They were never, I don't think the Zulus who came here to South Africa and said, oh people, what language do you speak? The only time when we had to refine our languages is when we got into contact with these colonial settlers. So that is very important for us. And I think South Africa as a country, we would have wanted to, in 1994, that they would have recognized the loss of language. You know, you can't look at people in South Africa, millions of people that they classified, you know, these British colonial settlers classified our Khoi people with the slaves in 1838, post-emancipation of slavery. They forced Khoi people with slaves, called us coloreds. And yet, how do a government in 1990, a new government, not recognize that there are these people who look like Africa, whose roots are in Africa, but yet don't speak an African language? And some people say that Afrikaans is African. The only thing of Afrikaans about Afrikaans is the word Africa in it. 95% of that language is Dutch, and it's not even Dutch. It's a watered down Dutch that was brought here by the Germans who were not very smart. They were not very intelligent. They came here running away from the war, and the Dutch DOC took them as cheap employees. You know, and that is how Afrikaans developed. But never forgetting that our Khoi people created this Afrikaans. Because when they came here in the 1600s, we owned the land, we owned the cattle, they owned nothing. So it's interesting today to see that, you know, and I think what I've also gotten from a lot of Nama people is this thing that they feel like people in South Africa want to steal their language. You know, and I've heard that, I've felt that. Like they feel like, oh yeah, South Africans now want to take away our language. And it can never be just a number language. It was a language that was spoken by how many total groups? Chochikwa, Atakwa, Esekwa, Otanikwa. Those people all spoke a Khoekhoe language. And we were just talking earlier as we were coming here, and we were saying that, you know, there's these places in South Africa that are so Khoi named Tsitsikama. Tsi means and, Kama, you know, Kama, water, and water. You know, Kuruman, Kuru means bold. Otenikwa, it loosely translates into people of the honey. If you go to, what other places are there? So many place names in South Africa are Khoekhoe names. You know, so it speaks to the fact that this language, but before, and you know, and again, I think we are very fortunate that we are at the position now where universities are coming on board. Because I must be honest with you, there is a perception in South Africa, especially in academia, that the quality of the Khoekhoe that's being taught in Namibia are not good enough for South Africans. That is the perception. So when they talk about saying that they want to redevelop the curriculum and they need to redevelop the orthography, they are basically saying that the quality of education in Namibia is not good enough for South Africans. And it's a problem because you can't say to the people who've loved this language, you know, who live their lives in this language, that they are not good enough. But I think again it's the history of South Africa and Namibia, that South Africa just carries the remnants of this coloniality. That South Africa controlled Namibia for 90 years and somehow still controls Namibia, and they believe that everything that South Africa does is somehow superior. So the status of the language now, and I must say it's very, I think it's gratifying to see that there's a lot of Khoi people now that saying that, listen here, Afrikaans is not my mother tongue. I can't share the language of the very people that will call me hotness in the public. You know, and I can't call English my mother tongue because I don't look like the English and they think nothing of me. So there's this really, I think it's an exciting time to be Khoi in South Africa because for me, it's fundamental for us to reclaim the language. Because when we reclaim the language, we reclaim our history. At the moment, and before I end it, language has ancestral memories. And you can't go back in your ancestry if you don't have the language.